Hello everyone, welcome to Res Snapper. My name's MJ and this is Snap or Pass, this series where we look at the brand new cards coming to Marvel Snap each week, and this week we've got loads of new cards coming. One of them is Gorgon. He's a 2/3 ongoing. Your opponent's cards that didn't start in their deck cost one more, maximum 6. In this video we're going to be talking about the cards that he is alongside in the new game mode Sanctum Showdown, deck ideas, synergies, counters, locations, and ultimately answering the question, is he a snap or pass? Should you be going after these portal pulls in this brand new game mode, or should you save your currency for something else? You can use the chapters below to skip to a specific section. And let's first of all talk about, I just farted. I don't know if that was audible. Please subscribe for more. We've got other videos where I don't fart. Sanctum Showdown is going to have a shop assigned to it where you can get loads of awesome rewards. Some of the rewards include, there's some like nice glyph borders. I think they're like 200-ish of this in-game currency. There's like a Jeff emote. I think that's something like 1500. You got the portal pulls, which will give you one of 3 random cards, and it's these 3: Uncle Ben, Gorgon, or Lofi, don't know how to pronounce it. Or you've even got like an unowned Series 4 or 5 card, a random one, and that's like 2,200 or something. So this opportunity to get Gorgon through this portal pull, it's sort of half the price of getting a random unowned card that could be like a Series 5. So that's pretty interesting. In terms of the value there, this is probably the kind of thing that you're going to want to go after in this game mode. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Let's talk about the mechanics of Gorgon. So this is the worst card in the game. This is evil. And if you play this, you're an evil human being. Completely unrelated, my favourite archetype in the game is Shield. In fact, you may have seen my recent gameplay video where I talk about my favourite deck in the game. It's called Shield Trap. You should check it out. Back to Gorgon. Yeah, absolutely reprehensible card. You certainly shouldn't play it. Yeah, I just think that if you play this game, you're just basically bullying Shield players, which I think is actually really disrespectful. I'm obviously joking with all of that. I just love Shield so much, and that's why I'm personally extremely offended by this card. The archetypes that Gorgon is going to fit into, I should say first of all, this is primarily a tech card, okay? So this is, you're teching it in when the meta steers one way. Maybe it steers into an Arishem heavy meta one time. Maybe it steers into a Shield heavy meta one time. This is when Gorgon comes into his own. But there are some opportunities outside of that. So he also fits into deck disruption style decks. So your Master Molds and Ronan the Accusers, that sort of thing. Control decks, of course, because it's a tech card, so you're able to better impose restrictions on your opponent. Ongoing. Do remember, guys, this is a 2-cost ongoing cards. Ongoing cards that are cheap are pretty finite in this game, so there's not many options for you. Generally speaking, it's like Dazzler or Ravona usually, isn't it? But this gives you another option, and also fits into the hand disruption style deck. Actually, I got a little bit confused there. I said deck disruption, hand disruption, switch them around. Deck disruption is your Gorgon, your Rock Slide, your Cassandra Nova and stuff. Hand disruption, that's your Master Mold and your Ronan. Anyway, finally, it is a new tool for Master Mold and hand disruption, so we absolutely love that. I kind of wish that Master Mold was better. I really like Master Mold. I mean, not from a competitive standpoint, I think Master Mold is terrible, but I like the card. Just generally, I think it's funny and annoying. And I did also recently get the Kim Jacinto variant from the card vault, so I have reason to want Master Mold to be better. It's a specific ability but becomes relevant fairly often, even from locations. Consider all of the locations which add stuff to your hand. That's going to be more difficult for your opponent to take advantage of. That is, of course, something that we'll look at in the locations section, which is the next bit. And it can be used defensively or offensively. So like we say, it can be that release valve for the meta. If it is an Arishem heavy meta or a Shield heavy meta, it's going to become relevant. Pros: cheap and highly disruptive to some decks. Kills Arishem, kills Quinjet, kind of. As well as huge combo potential as well. So you can do lots of different cheeky things with Gorgon. The absolute cheekiness you can achieve with this card is interesting. It's another reasonable option for the ongoing decks of Spectrum. As we said earlier, you've currently got not all that many 2-costed options for ongoing cards. This is another completely viable one. A great tech card against specific metas. For example, Mill with Cable, Hood and Iron Patriot. That's all the rage at the moment. This actually weakens that. Imagine that Hood. You know, how often are they playing the Hood alongside a 5-cost card? There's plenty of decks that do that. Even Clog does that. So Gorgon might be a nice little inclusion in them. And there's potentially some good snap indicators. For example, if your opponent plays Quinjet, that might be something that you'll want to snap into, knowing that you've got a Gorgon rearing up there. But cons. It's a cucked out card. I think you'd be a cuck for playing it. Ruining the day of shield players is very cringe and stupid. Naturally, you shouldn't do that. I think that makes you a very stupid person. If you're playing Gorgon defensively and your opponent doesn't generate cards, it's a fairly weak play / do nothing card. But it does still have free power. Like, crucially, it has fine, normal kind of base stats for a 2-costed card. I mean, that's what Shocker does. So it's not the end of the world exactly. And just to reiterate, you're cucked out. Sorry, I forgot I wrote this bit. Let me try that again. And just to reiterate, you're cucked out to all hell if you play this loser card. So yeah, you're a fucking loser, to be honest. Let's talk about the locations. And actually, there's a decent number of good locations for Gorgon. Collapsed Mine, it's adding a Vibranium to your hand and your opponent's hand. Yours is going to cost 1. You can make theirs cost 2. So that's pretty, a 1/4 is very good. And it's generally worth playing the Vibranium out from that location. And so you forcing it to cost 2, probably something that they're vaguely unlikely to actually get the value from now. Cloning Vats could be very nice, especially if you're playing Gorgon offensively in that sort of gam in their hand up style deck. Cloning Vats gets pretty out of control with Gorgon. Not only that, but the cards that they play into Cloning Vats are going to cost 1 more. Mindscape, huge with Gorgon because all of the cards you're giving them are going to be an extra 1 cost. That's devilish, unless you've got 6 cost in your hand. Nor Dimension, these are normally 0 cost Djinns. They're going to go up to 1, so much harder to get out. A Triskelion, their entire hand is going to have +1 cost. Nightmare for them. And Time Theatre, honestly, Time Theatre, generally speaking, does not feel good at the best of time. And it's going to feel even worse if there's a Gorgon around, because the player is denied a draw. And then even then, that copy of the card they have, which might be something that they already played, or might be something that they already played or they're already planning on playing and they don't need 2 of, they're denied a draw and then have this thing that they can't even get value from just playing out. So yeah. And then bad, of course, as always with an ongoing card, Isle of Silence. Just stops the ability. Counters, there are quite a few. Echo, if they can get the Echo down early and Echo is invisible so you won't see it, you can play the Gorgon on top of it and lose the ability. Annoying. Quinjet. Wait, what am I talking about? How is Quinjet a counter? Gorgon's a counter to Quinjet. Well, actually, they kind of cancel each other out, don't they? And the thing is, Quinjet costs 1 and Gorgon costs 2. So there's an interesting yin-yang element there. Mobius counters Gorgon because you're going to try and make their cards cost more, just like with Iceman. And Mobius is going to stop it. Red Guardian is going to be able to remove the abilities of Gorgon. I don't think it's the best Red Guardian target, but it's something that can happen. Rogue is self-explanatory. I'm not going to explain it. It is self-explanatory. I'm not going to give the courtesy to Rogue, unfortunately. And Enchantress naturally can take down Gorgon. I mean, the thing is, by that point in the game, you have already got a few turns out of the ability of Gorgon. So, yeah. Synergies though, Iceman, anything that is increasing their costs, you can stack it, so that's going to feel horrible. Korg is going to add a rock into their deck. Normally that rock will cost 1. Generally speaking, they're not playing it anyway, but there are some instances where you just want to get the rock out of your deck, or you might want to fill a location, and those little edge cases become more difficult with Gorgon. Same thing for Rock Slide. Master Mold is interesting because you can gam up their hands, and whilst sometimes you might play the Sentinel down, the Sentinel costing 3 makes it a much bigger commitment, like a 50% bigger commitment. So that is horrific. And so that might be difficult, especially if you consider the fact that you can duplicate that with like Grandmaster. So you can give them 4 Sentinels in their hand that all cost 3. That's really nasty. Black Widow, oh my gosh, the Widow's Kiss or whatever it is, that's going to no longer cost 0, it's going to cost 1. That's bloody devilish. You're literally eating into their energy in order to make them draw cards. And Moonstone. Think about it. If they're like a shield deck and you can play Moonstone with Gorgon, that really is game winning. So let's talk about some deck ideas for you. We always like starting off with a budget deck. This is for probably our newer players or lower collection level players. So this is a cheap ongoing deck. So the end game of these decks is either playing Spectrum, probably hopefully primarily Spectrum to be honest, and getting that +2 on all of your cards, or Onslaught. Onslaught can work out with some of your cheaper ongoings, especially things like Mr. Fantastic and Mystique. If you happened to pick up Moonstone, she would be a really good fit in this deck as well, because she obviously synergizes with cheaper ongoing cards. But we've got things like Howard the Duck in here, just to see what we've got coming up and be able to plan our final turn a bit better. So that's why he'll work well. Obviously he's an ongoing. Ant-Man, you've got the Dazzler, you've got Goose and Mojo. So this is a little bit of like location control, stop them from playing their higher costed cards in one location. Maybe you play the Mojo at the same location as the Goose. You've got Ravona in here, which works with several of your cards, including the Iron Man, the Mr. Fantastic and the Mystique. So all of that is going to feel good. In fact, crucially, the Mystique can copy the abilities of any of this stuff. Maybe you are playing against a shield deck or an Arishem. You can curve from Gorgon into Mystique, and you can really probably quite confidently snap on that play. And then obviously, as we said, at the end of the game, you just play Spectrum and get a massive boost of power across the entire board. So it could be feeling quite nice. Our next deck is a bit more exciting for me, I would say. This is called Hand Botox. So we are plumping up their hands. You've got Zabu in here, which I want to get down early because we have actually got 3 really powerful, crucial forecasted cards. So we really do want to cheapen one of them to come down to 3 to give us some extra options towards the end of the game. Otherwise, you play the Korg, you play the Master Mold. You can copy the Master Mold with Grandmaster. Grandmaster has got another good target in Cassandra Nova though. Cassandra Nova, hopefully you're playing it after the Korg and you get that extra 1 power, which stacks if you are Grandmastering it. And the Gorgon, of course, with Mystique can be very nasty because those rocks are going to be gamming up their hand. And ultimately, towards the end of the game, hopefully you're playing either Dark Hawk or Ronan on 5, because on turn 6, you do probably want to play Mystique. And that means it becomes slightly more crucial that you played out the Zabu early, because our only other free cost card is Cassandra Nova, who is weaker at the end of the game. So you really do want the Zabu in this deck to make your final turn better. And we've got the Captain Marvel in here as well to smidge out the power. Hopefully we did copy something with Mystique. And yeah, it's just self-explanatory. Could be an annoying deck. We'll see. And yeah, I do only have 2 decks for you this time. So I just want to say, please subscribe. We have got a video for Lofi coming soon as well, and hopefully you've seen the rest of the Snapple Pass videos. Hopefully you enjoy them. So if you do, like this video. There's still loads of you who aren't subscribed, so loads of you that do watch these videos and don't subscribe, so please do, and turn on notifications as well. So star ratings for Gorgon obviously is 1 star across the board. The most evil dickheadish card in the game. So yeah, terrible, and you should definitely not get it. No, that again is a joke. I'm joking, aren't I? Because I love Shield. You see, it's like a reference to earlier as well. Do you remember I did that earlier as well? It's like a reference to that. No, joking apart, I actually think he's fine. I give him 3 stars. I think he's all right. From a fun perspective, I think he'll be pretty neutral in terms of fun. I think there's definitely a fun element to pissing off your opponent with like the Sentinels and the rocks and stuff and increasing their cost. But ultimately, like, they are going to be able to play out their other cards. So there's like a balance there. Within the archetype, though, I think for Hand Disruption, he seems like a good inclusion there. I think you're fairly happy to get him out on turn 2. So that's nice, and make it more difficult for them to release the stuff from their hand, relinquish those cards, and so improve your Ronan the Accuser. So I think actually he is a meaningful addition to that archetype. But is he competitive? I say 3.5. I think generally speaking, I probably would have said 3, but I think with the fact that this guy single-handedly does a lot of damage to Arishem, I don't think he dismantles Arishem. Because, remember, they've still got extra energy and they've still got those cards which started in their deck. I think it just makes Arishem less flexible. And you can probably snap into Arishem players, but yeah, 3.5. Ultimately, is he a snap or pass? I have said he is a snap. That is because the total cost of getting all 3 of these new cards via Portal Pull in Sanctum Showdown is 3,600 of this in-game mode currency. Now, as at time of recording, we don't know exactly how easy or how hard it is to get that amount. I think it will probably require a little bit of grinding to get this amount. But you're getting 3 new cards. This one, a cool tech card, and by the way, I think the artwork is cool. You get an Uncle Ben, a funny meme card, and you get an Laufey, who I think is the most sensible card out of all of these. I don't know, to me that seems good. Hopefully, anyway, we don't know exactly how much this currency truly is. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. What do you think of Gorgon? Let me know in the comments below. Can you tell that I'm losing my voice because I'm filming like 4 of these back to back? Wish me luck for the Laufey video. So yeah, if you're new, please subscribe and you will see the Laufey video and see how my voice holds up. Which, by the way, I've had a throat concern this week actually. Not month. I hope it doesn't last a month. I basically accidentally swallowed some Vimto into my lungs. So, yeah, it's been very bad, and that is good. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.